Before I begin, I want to give a trigger warning for mass shootings. So back a couple years ago, I started to work for this professor. His name was Victor Rios. And for Victor, I worked on his website, did a little bit of media stuff, worked on some videos for him. And I was working on a video for him in my dorm room, and I got a little hungry, so I went out, and I went to this place called Pita Pit to buy a gyro. So I biked over to Pita Pit for my dorm. I got my gyro, and I came out. I started to unlock my bike, and I heard a couple sounds, and they were really familiar to me, because a couple months ago, I had gone to gun range with my dad. And I wasn't sure, are these firecrackers or are these guns? So instead of just going that way, going down Pardall where I heard the sounds from, I decided to go to my right side, which was to go past 7-Eleven to go to my dorm. So I started to pedal and I started to bike, and I got to the stop sign, and in front of me I saw a BMW. This BMW was really cool. I remember wanting this BMW. It was a 3 Series, and I'd always gone and customized it online. And he started to drive up, and I started to pedal forward, and I was looking at it, and I was really appreciating the lights it had on it. And then it started to drive on my side of the road. It started to drive, and it stopped, and I was like, is this guy gonna drop off his friend? What's going on? And just before I knew it, his window came down, and he shot a couple shots, pow, 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 and one guy fell, and he shot 2 more times, and the other guy fell, and I was like, fuck, what am I gonna do? So I turned to the right, got off my bike, threw it between these 2 parked cars, and I ran along the parked cars. Me and those 2 girls were just ducking. We were ducking along the parked cars, and we ran inside the 7-Eleven. And then all of us in the 7-Eleven, we kind of went and we hid in the back room. And we made this plan in case the shooter came in the 7-Eleven. We made this plan to leave through the back door. Before I knew it, we were all really safe. That girl was taken care of. And I know those 2 people that I saw shot were taken care of. And all of us in the 7-Eleven, we were safe and unharmed. So we just went home. I had a dream that Elliot Rogers was chasing me while I was running away along this chain link fence. And I just woke up right before he got me. It was so fucking scary. So instead of just trying to fall back asleep, I stayed awake a little bit, and I decided to call Victor because I knew that Victor had gone through the same thing as me when he was a kid. When Victor was a kid, he used to be in a gang, and his best friend was shot, and he saw it. So I gave him a call, and I told him what happened to me, and Victor was the first person that could really empathize with me. So Victor told me, hey Vosh, I have some ideas for you. I'm going to give you some stuff to read, and he sent it over, and I started to do a little bit of research about why mass shootings happen. The 2 biggest conversations around mass shootings are gun control and mental illness. And I really looked into these things, and I realized if it was really mental illness, then 50% of mass shootings would be done by women, but they're not. All of these are done by men. So I did a little bit more research about the mass shootings that are happening, and I specifically looked at Columbine, Virginia Tech, and Elliot Rogers, a shooting that happened here at UCSB. When you start to look at the lives of all these people, you kind of realize none of these people really fit in. Because the 3 things that kind of define a successful man in our society are to get a lot of girls, to have big muscles, and to have a lot of money. And all of these things really function to just give us more power, right? Because being a successful man in the US society is having a lot of power. And you can flex that power through doing things, through putting men down. And a lot of these kids, they call them names like gay, fag, pussy. They gay-baited them. And what this really did is it put them down as men. Marilyn Manson was blamed for about 30 mass shootings that happened in high schools, right? And they did an interview with him for the movie about Columbine. And they asked him, hey, Marilyn, what would you say to these kids if you were able to talk to them before it happened? And Marilyn Manson said something very special. He said, I wouldn't say a word to them. I would just listen because that's what nobody did. What's important to realize is that all these pressures placed on them in high school kind of made them break, because you look at them and they never really got to fit in and improve themselves. And you look at Elliot Rogers, the kid at UCSB, and he comes to UCSB, he's rich, he has white, and he has a BMW. Theoretically, he should be getting a lot of girls, but he's not. And since he's not, he's failing to be a man. So what they did is they kind of compensated for the perceived lack of masculinity with a hyper-masculine display. They said, hey, I'm going to show everyone that I'm really fucking manly, and they did a mass shooting. All of these actions, all of these really harmful behaviors are responses to the pressures that we feel in society. So one thing that was really special at UCSB is when people started to figure out what happened to me, they showed me a lot of support. And what was really awesome is I wasn't the only one getting support. Every single person at UCSB was there for each other, no matter what they had been through, because we were all kind of going through something very similar. I remember there was this one day that I was eating at DLG. It was the dining commons on campus. And this girl that I had never really spoken to, but I've seen her around before, she came up to me and she was like, "Hey Vosh, how are you doing? I heard what happened to you." And I really remember that moment because it was kind of the first time that I really felt someone cared about me. And it was really special because that care that I got from her is what helped me get through the shooting and get through one of the toughest times of my life. And I know that the care that we showed for each other back in May is what got all of us through the toughest times in our life. We all need to realize that we act in the ways that we do just because we want to feel cool and fit in, right? Because now we give each other like a "yo, what's up?" Right? But that "hey, how are you?" isn't there anymore. But we're all going through tough times in our life. We're all going through shit. And what needs to happen is we need to show each other more support and compassion just like we did back in May. Because with communities like these, we'd never feel the need to prove ourselves. Thank you.